Sure. Did everyone get the handout with the overview? Because that's what I'm going to be going over. And if you have it, then I won't share my screen. I'll just read from my screen. And if you do have any questions, if you raise your hand or use that, I don't know if you have that little hand button on this.
There we go.
However you want to give me a heads up, then feel free to jump in if you have questions. How does that sound?
I'll share my...
So as you know, Mark and Greg and I have continued to work together since our last meeting. We've been able to accomplish what we think is a pretty hefty list of items. So we're really excited to report that out. I would also mention that Greg is finishing up year end, and I'm sure that Mark has, a hand in that as well. So this is being accomplished while they have a really big plate full of work to do. So very, very impressive and delightful to work with these two gentlemen. So high priorities, the high priority that we've been working on, and this has primarily been Greg, the I-9 forms. As you know, I recommended that, they be set up in a separate binder just for ease of function and access. So Greg is in the process of reviewing both the current and terminated employee I-9s. He's trued up the current list, so that's a completed item. And he is in the process of truing up the separated list. So what that means is we want to keep only the I-9s for employees who have terminated or separated from the organization a specific period of time. So he's just checking checking to make sure you have what you need and nothing more than you need. So then that project will be complete. So it's well underway.
Teresa, I-9 for the people who are watching or going to be watching.
Thank you.
What is that?
Form I-9s are that, I would say, famous form that when you are employed, you are asked to bring documentation that will verify you are who you say you are, so identity,
right,
and that you are eligible to work in the United States. So that's a pretty important form. You have those. They have been completed by your employees, current and in the past. And they are a form that can be audited by the Department of Labor and Immigration and Control, which is not called the Immigration and Control anymore, but that entity.
Right.
And for ease of access, having them in a binder instead of a personnel file, again, it's functional. There's nothing wrong with keeping them in a personnel file. It's just much easier all the way around to keep them in a binder. So that's what I recommend for my clients.
Good.
Any other questions on I-9s? Thanks for that, Billy.
Teresa, just as an FYI, we have a gentleman here recording from PEG TV today, just as an FYI.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So with the new hire process, we talked about changing some things around, which we have done. I had actually suggested retitling the offer letter instead of it saying employment letter. That actually has been completed, and we have a new offer letter that we are implementing. So Mark has approved, if you will, the draft that I sent, and we now have an offer letter that is implemented for non-exempt employees, hourly employees, and a different offer letter for exempt or salaried employees. And I apologize, I'm noticing there's an O missing in my word completed there. We have removed reference to the types of documents to bring for the I-9. That's no longer in the offer letter. And the reason that's important is there are individuals who may not have those types of documents. It's not unusual in my experience to have employers suggest certain documents to bring. They're being helpful because very often the new employee who's accepted that offer of employment will ask us, well, what should I bring? I don't know what to bring. And so employers are trying to be helpful, but it turns out that could be considered a discriminatory practice, not what's intended. It's intended to be helpful. It could be considered a discriminatory practice because there may be people that don't have the documents you're suggesting. So instead, we're going back to here are the list of acceptable documents. You can look at this list and decide what works best for you. We did add the Vermont Earned Sick Leave handout. It's important, and it is one of the requirements that as you are telling employees about the Vermont Earned Sick Leave law and what's available to them under that law, they actually want you to hand something out to them. So again, it's an addition to and a complement to the new hire process that you already have in place. We have added a step. Currently, the new hire and onboarding checklist are all together. So Greg and Mark and I have been talking about that, and we've decided we're going to divide that. And again, it's for functional reasons. There's nothing wrong with the way it's being done. We're just finding that a little more specificity along with dividing out new hire, which typically will involve documents that get handed over to Greg, and then the onboarding, which is typically more of this is what we're reviewing with the employee, which would include the personnel handbook. It's going to include things like the management plan and any training that they need to undertake, and policies and procedures that they're responsible for reading through and signing off on. So that's in process. We have added a document called a personnel action form. So this form is really more for payroll purposes. So when you're hiring someone, it will include all of the information, the position, the rate of pay, who the person is going to report to. If someone ends up leaving the organization, it's the same form that can be used for the date that the person is leaving and any other pertinent information to them separating employment. If there is a raise, then it's going to be used for informing Greg in this example that this person received a raise from this point to this point. So again, we have a document for that. It doesn't mean it wasn't occurring before, because all of this worked smoothly before. We're just taking what was there and improving it a bit, I guess you could say. So that's completed. That form has been adopted. We've also added a form called the Acknowledged Receipt of Company Property, so that if there are laptops or key fobs or keys, credit cards, anything like that that are given out to employees, we have one place to capture that, and the employee would sign off saying, this is, what has been given to me. And when they separate from the company, if they do, then this form comes back out and they return everything. So it's everything in one place. Makes it a little more user friendly. So that is completed. We've also added a company owned vehicle form as well as a personally owned vehicle form, and Mark's sending that over to the Vermont League of Cities and Towns for their review. So this is in process. Those forms are more specifically about driving company owned vehicles and what the responsibilities are. And the personally owned vehicle would be for those individuals who are driving their own personal vehicle on behalf of the company. So again, it isn't that you didn't have things in place before. It's just tidying things up, being a bit more specific about, the responsibilities and obligations you have as an employee driving either a company vehicle or your own vehicle on company time. I know I tend to talk really fast when I'm going through this, so again, I will rely on you to jump in if there's a question or a comment. So continuing on with the high priorities, personnel and medical files, we have updated and implemented a new employee information form. That has been completed. Greg is in the process and has been in the process of transferring any information or documents that are in the personnel file to what is called a medical file. And that's just any information that it could be related to sick leave, a doctor's note. It could be related to an enrollment form for your insurances. The requirement is that we keep those documents separate. So while he is going through those personnel files and teasing them apart, he is looking at any documents that would go in a working file. So those would just be notes that don't rise to the level of going into a personnel file. It could be, a note about the great work that someone is doing. It could be a note that, hey, I had a conversation with so-and-so regarding this particular topic, so that when you get to doing your performance evaluations, now you have some notes available that can give some really nice examples of where performance either needs to be improved that you talked about, or where performance is going really well and it's very impressive and you want to be able to praise and give examples of that performance in the evaluation. So in addition to that, any forms relative to recruitment, we're pulling out if there happen to be interview notes or applications of those individuals that you hire. But you have interview notes, we are putting those into a separate file that would be dated the day that the position was filled, along with that position, and all applications and applicants that were considered would be kept in that file and kept for a period of time. Workers' comp, thankfully you have a very low injury rate. Good for all of you for, a really great, safe workplace, because, you have a lot of equipment and things that you have employees working with. So, you have some dangerous operations, I guess you could say. It's wonderful that you are not experiencing high levels of injuries. But if you do, it isn't that you can't keep your workers' comp if there was an injury, that you can't keep that information, in a medical file for an employee. It's again functional. It's easier to have all of that information in one place because there are reporting responsibilities that go along with that, along for your OSHA reporting. So it's easier to just have it all together. Vermont Declaration of Healthcare Coverage, again, that's a form you're responsible for having each employee provide or complete rather, because you do provide health insurance. Again, it's a functional decision. These are forms that can be audited. They also have to be disposed of at the end of 3 years. So it's just easier to have them in a file by year. So, and I made a note here, the majority of these files, as I just explained, were just set up for easy access to certain documents. Not that anyone was doing anything wrong. We did, Greg suggested that we explore opportunities for some of the forms to be included in Peachtree electronically. It wouldn't replace any hard copies, but again, ease of access to information that may be necessary electronically versus having to go to a hard copy file each time. So that's in process. So personnel policy, we did decide to put that on hold. We want to accomplish some of these other items first. As you know, I did make some recommendations that we look at the personnel policy because there were some things that I believe need to be changed up. So we'll talk about that when we finish all of these other things. We'll tackle that. Training, safety and sexual harassment. We were able to confirm that the OSHA 10 that is offered to some of your employees will not replace your employer required trainings. So I was able to also confirm that the trainings for OSHA do need to be customized to the work site. So Mark has been working with the Vermont League of Cities and Towns. He's already spoken with, I believe it's Wade. He is in the process of scheduling an appointment with him for a site visit and for Wade to assist to determine which OSHA trainings would be required. And then trainings will be developed from there.
So is that a federal requirement? Or is this a state?
Federal and state.
State would be labor and industry, right? Okay.
OSHA.
So the state is
VOSHA,
uh,
VOSHA, okay.
So in the state of Vermont, we have VOSHA, which is
Yeah.
a approved OSHA plan. So the standards can be stricter, but they cannot be looser than
The federal,
OSHA
right.
for federal. So an example of that are municipalities. So if we were in an OSHA covered state, municipalities don't have to, they don't fall under OSHA, but in the state of Vermont, municipalities do fall under OSHA. So that's an example of where the standard is stricter. So state and federal, I guess you could say. We also have the Vermont Sexual Harassment Statute. Mark is reviewing that. He's looked at the available resources and available trainers. That's in process. Once Mark finishes this up, he plans to develop a training and have it reviewed by one of the trainers and provide that training in-house.
Teresa, does that also include diversity? Is included in this package?
Diversity is not included in this package.
Okay.
As far as I know, there is no statute requiring it. You may consider it a best practice, and I believe I am saying that accurately. Sexual harassment, on the other hand, is a state statute,
okay.
and it does have some training requirements attached to it.
Okay.
So moving on to medium priorities, we decided to dive into the workers' comp piece. So we have added a workers' comp binder and what we call some packets with it. Mark has it right there. It is completed. Show and tell time. Nice job, Mark. So I've been working with clients to create a binder like Mark has there, just so you have everything in one place and it's easier for everyone to know what to do in that moment to help that injured employee, get them the medical attention that they're required, send some information along, which doesn't often happen, where the medical provider has the job description, a work capabilities form, and the billing department understands, hey, this is a workers' comp claim, here's the policy number, here's the contact information if I have any questions about the claim itself. So it's a nice thing, I think, to be able to provide to employees to take with them to the medical provider, because then the medical provider is really understanding the nature of the job and what they need to do, as well as on the work capabilities form, that you are an employer that values transitional work, or what we used to call light duty, and we want that employee back to work as soon as they possibly can be. We will provide them work to do within their restrictions or limitations, because we know that the data shows that employees heal faster and they do much better when they stay engaged with work. So that's really important for medical providers to be aware of that. So we now have a written out standard operating procedure that has been completed that says, this is what we do when we have an injured employee. Here's who does what. We have a section on the first report of injury, all of the information that needs to be reported to the Vermont League of Cities and Towns so that they can send that to passive and make sure that it's reported in a timely manner. And the last section would be, here are the reporting obligations that you may have, because this injury may be needed to be recorded on your OSHA 300 log. The other piece that we added in here is determining whether the injury is a first aid or a medical only. And for those of you familiar with workers' comp, the first aid provision in the statute, the state statute, is pretty specific, and it says something like, if the claim is going to be $750 or less, the employer has the option of paying out of pocket. The benefit of that, and again, you have a very, very low injury rate, but still the benefit is that if this is first aid only and you are paying out of pocket, it doesn't hit your frequency of an injury. So
Right.
that helps with your mod.
Because a lot of people don't a lot of people don't understand the league puts your record, what you did the past year, that's your rate for the next year. So less accidents?
3 years.
3 years? 3-year
Yes.
record? Okay.
Yes.
It's 3 years. It has a 3-year tail.
Oh. So
But
if you get
still,
stuck 1 year,
Your example, what you're saying, Billy, is exactly spot on. You want to be paying attention to it, because if you're not, then your mod can start increasing.
Yep.
Because those injuries do have a 3-year tail. We also verified or clarified, I guess you could say, that you have designated medical providers. What some employers aren't always aware of is that you get to decide who the medical provider is, and your employee, you can send your employee to that medical provider of your choice first. They definitely have the option of requesting a different medical provider, but they need to see your medical provider first. And the benefit of that is that you're going to be working with a medical provider who understands the nature of an occupational illness or injury and workers' comp. So they're going to be working to make sure that your employee is well cared for, and that they're also looking at workers' comp and how to safely return the employee to work at the soonest possible point in time. I already said we have a work capabilities form. The workers' claim information form is just the cover sheet for each packet. So the packet has the work claims information form on it. It has the job description in it, has a work capabilities form, and it also has your internal incident report, which is used to help complete the first report of injury. And we actually have scheduled the workers' comp training that will be provided to go over everything about workers' comp, or a good comprehensive look at it, as well as here's the new binder and here's how we're using that. And that's scheduled for the 18th of March. So we have some low priorities that are on hold for right now as we work on these other higher priorities. The ones that are on hold are end of employment separation, job descriptions. You have them and they're in really great shape. There were just a couple of things I thought might be worth exploring. The leave process is on hold with the understanding that if you have an employee who may be eligible for a leave of absence, so these are going to be your Vermont leaves, that we would press pause on things, but we jump right into creating a process at that time for that employee, so that you are building the process as it's happening. It's not difficult to do. I just find that creating a leave of absence process without an existing example it can be a lot to wrap your mind around. And it's not a high priority right now. New hire orientation, that's wrapped into what we had above with the new hire process. Performance, that is on hold. Evaluations are completed. Kudos again to Mark for making sure those evaluations happen and in a timely manner. Really more of what I was looking at is being more descriptive so that we're giving more examples. That was just the recommendation there. With recruitment, we have a new application in place. It's available in hard copy, and Mark is making sure that's going to go on the website, so that's completed. In process are written interview and reference questions so that you can document what's used. It's not that anyone is being inconsistent in interviewing or following up with references. It's more that if you were asked to demonstrate consistency, you have it verbally and you're taking notes, which is great. Best practice would be making sure you have your interview questions written down so that you can say, this is exactly what we asked each person, and the same thing with the references. The EOE form That's your equal opportunity employer form, which is it's a choice for applicants to fill out or not. But those forms are used for grant purposes. They were previously attached to the application. They should be separate because they've got a lot of information that could be considered discriminatory if it were attached to, or if there was the impression that any information on that EOE form was used for reviewing candidates. Now, we know it's not used in that way. It's used for grant purposes, but it's best to just keep those separate. So they're still available. Background check release form and a policy on that. That is in process right now. Time and attendance is all set, and labor law posters with an update status that's been completed. So that is all I have.
So,
any questions or comments?
question, on the labor law posters, is the new Vermont family leave on that?
Yep.
It is? Okay.
Yep, that's right up. Yep.
Oh, you got one up at the transfer station
Yep.
too? Good, all right.
No,
No?
this is our general place.
Oh,
Where we
okay.
come.
Should we have one up there?
Should we have one?
Should we have one there? Because most of your employees don't come here.
Where would we put it?
And they-
If all employees come to,
Yes.
it's wherever your employees, if they're all clocking in and out or filling out timesheets or whatever, if that's your employee center where you are right now, my understanding is you don't need one at the transfer station. You could have one at the transfer station if you chose to do that.
Most
Totally.
report there, right?
They go to their specific areas.
So they don't come here,
Um,
not all the time.
not
So we
all the
probably should
time.
have another set there somewhere.
You might want to,
Might be a good idea.
I don't know how
okay,
expensive.
I misunderstood. I thought they were all coming there every day, but if they're not, if they don't always do that, then I think it would be a good idea to just get another set.
Very good, Teresa. That was a great report.
Thank you.
Excellent report. I appreciate everything you guys are doing.
Yeah, thanks for working with us, Teresa.
Yeah.
It's been great.
It's been
Been
very
a huge
pleasurable.
help.
Lot of
Thank you. Well,
stuff.
I will tell you, Mark and Greg are a pleasure to work with. They get it done, and we have great productive meetings, and I think the list of work that we've been doing together, they're turning things around very quickly, and I'm very pleased. I don't often have folks that are able to work as quickly as this, so it's really nice for me as well.
Thank you.
Thanks.
It definitely made it a priority, for sure.
Does anybody have any questions? Well, again, I thank you, Teresa, for everything you're doing and helping resolve.
Well, my pleasure, for sure. Thanks for inviting me.
Okay, seeing that we still don't have a quorum, is there any information, because we only can do information, we can't vote on anything. Somebody wants to know, we'll try to have a meeting next week to go over stuff that we do have to approve.
I could go over some of the things loosely. One of the things I could see right. Teresa, did you want to say something?
I'm going to say goodbye.
Okay.
Oh, goodbye.
Thank you.
No, just saying goodbye.
Thank you.
Sorry, Mark.
Okay. Have a great day. Bye-bye. We have Desna Jenkins in the house. She is our new outreach coordinator, and we're very happy to have her. And I think I remember talking to Desna, and she asked me if there was a person called Nancy that is on our board, and I says, "How did you know?" And I see when you first came on to the meeting together, you immediately saw her, and it's all good. So we're very happy to have her here, and she's been here, and just getting into everything, reaching out to all her colleagues, and so much more.
Good, excellent.
Does she want to say anything?
Les, I don't know, I wouldn't want, this is her first time, I wasn't really expecting her to be here, because of just the first time.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to get
I
acclimated
guess we
before she
should-
came, yeah.
I guess we shouldn't baptize her all
Yeah.
at once here.
This is all new. I mean, I could talk to whatever end you wish, on, any remaining particular thing you see of
Some
interest.
legislation here? You had a list of legislation going on
In the
here?
back there, yeah, I just wanted to give you an idea of what's happening.
What is happening?
If you take if you turn to towards the end. You take a look at your packages on page 36 or something like that. We have Act 548, which is related to landfill disposal of solid waste.
How's that change for us?
Well, it's hard to see because it's all in the very beginning right now. You're getting the latest and greatest. I haven't had time to really delve into this thing, but if you take a look at what the District Managers Association is looking at mostly right now is the battery article, which is
The
254.
automobile, you mean the solar, the rechargeable batteries?
Not rechargeables. Everything but pretty much everything but that.
Or you mean AB?
Lithium-ion
Lithium,
batteries.
okay.
Yeah, and it's, right now we see things when people squish batteries or they're in a device and they swell. They can cause a serious fire that does not go out unless you have the right materials and the right training. And we're looking it's S254 and
Senate
like we
bill.
did for the HHW bill last year, and I presented like a one-sheet fact sheet to all the board members to pass on to legislatures to say, hey, we like this because of these reasons. And this is something that for HHW, so they can have a product stewardship entity that we can get some monies from this eventually for them to handle it and pay for disposal of these things.
Power tool batteries is what you're talking about here,
Power tool batteries,
which is gonna be a big deal for a lot of people because everybody's going to those.
lithium batteries, yes,
For fans, for lights, for radios, for everything.
Everything.
everything. And we have this draft coming,
Catching up.
yeah. So we're looking to tighten that into bill, and that's what S254 is
So
just getting
we're
into.
recycling those now, aren't we?
We're paying for it too,
Or
yeah. So,
are we covering our cost?
no. We're the budget is calling for a large deficit this year. So, we'll see.
So we need to do some policy changes here.
I think if we were to get this bill, it would help us out with maybe a few tens of thousands of dollars.
So the bill sets up rates for us, or how to dispose it, or what's the bill do for
It's
us?
very early, it's delegated as something that's gonna take place in a couple of years.
Oh, so
Yeah.
it's not as of July 1st.
No,
Okay.
no. If you take a look at the next pages, we have HHW EPR law, in the Act 58 that was passed last year, with
Oh,
the
yeah.
support of many members of the board, sending letters to the legislator. This is a several-page thing, and right now, it probably change before this law becomes in place. But it will give you an idea where it stands on the HHW statute to be happening in a couple of years. I was just keeping you up to date with the latest and greatest.
So
Not to confuse you.
the bottle bill, or the extension of the bottle bill was dead in the Senate, right?
Right. Right. And I heard stories that it was looking to get vetoed or overturned by one house. I haven't heard the latest.
Haven't
on
heard that yet.
Yeah. So the act there is 254 S. And you see that at the bottom of page 38. Tires was a big thing. And you see the next page, 273. Tires have become much more, very expensive to dispose of. So we're looking for products.
So there's not a market for those yet?
We have one person, one company that takes care of most of New England. And that company has grown leaps and bounds over the last 2-3 years. So they ate up all the little guys, and, you know, they get.
And so what are they doing with the tires? What are they using them for?
They use it
Resell?
for melting, we use them for petroleum products and take the steel belt out of them, and we process that for other goods.
Oh, okay.
So fuel products and metal products, yeah. So they do recycle. But
Are we pay enough?
we pay.
They're
Because
making money on both ends.
Because
Yeah.
I paid, what, $15 at the car dealer to get rid of the tire.
We would do less.
Well, no, because they took my tire and they kept it. so,
Oh, they did,
yeah.
okay, yeah. And they've always, I think, those type of businesses have always charged a little bit extra, because it is a cost that they have to do to pay to get rid of it.
So are those tire dealers bringing them to you, or are they passing them off to the other folks?
We have one person that comes in and collects them, and he brings maybe 100 a year in.
Oh, okay. Small
Yeah.
guy, small
Yeah,
operator.
small guys, but, you know, once in a while, we do have a place, maybe a farm, has some extra tires. It's nothing that's consistent.
Right.
It's really a flexible market. Right now, we get billed, if we don't have a pickup each month.
Yeah, just the non-use of the trailer, we get billed for that, whether we use it or not.
Yeah.
Oh, it's their trailer.
Yeah, they make money off both ends of it. They're charging us to, store and collect the tires. for
Oh,
them,
really?
And then they take and turn around and reprocess them and recycle them, sell that as a commodity, so.
So we're looking to see if we can have a stewardship, and that's in S7, 273. But the big one is the 254.
254,
Yeah,
the rechargeable batteries.
Yeah, because we've already have something with batteries in a producer program, but we just want to tighten it up.
But we're losing money on that right now.
Yep. And until we get the HHW program going, it'd be nice to get this thing fixed also before, maybe dovetail it when the other law takes place.
Those batteries last a long time, but they do give out, because I've already had, a set give out.
Yes,
So,
they do.
and now lawnmowers have them.
Oh, you can go with lawnmowers, you can go with motorcycles, scooters,
Or bikes.
vehicles. What happens, anything over 300 watts is considered solid waste. HHW, hazardous waste. And just to get the box for these things, just for the motorcycles or little go-karts, it costs over $100 for the box, and then you got to pay to ship it. So this is going to be very expensive unless we have something.
A collection area.
Yeah, yeah, or someone that's going to be managing that, and we send it to them.
So does this bill help you with the collection? Like a couple of places in Vermont, everybody sends it to one place?
I think it will. I think it's going to help pay for the cost, reimburse us for it too.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
So now you're sending them individually back, like if they bring up,
I'm not sure.
is it a
No,
bike?
no. These things we send in bulk.
Or you do the
We
bulk?
do,
Okay,
yeah,
all right,
yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah. And this program will also provide education to the public of what it is and how we can get it better. Some outreach.
Because people are still throwing those little batteries in the trash.
Actually, Vermont has one of the higher rates in recycling household batteries in the country.
So did we
do.
how'd we do on the audit when they were pulling the bags apart? They didn't find much, or
No, well, I didn't hear from that report.
you haven't heard that report
No,
yet?
not
Because I
yet.
saw them up there ripping it apart, and
over the summertime.
Yes, over the
September,
summer, yeah.
And they did one here too at the MRF, a couple of months after that. And I haven't heard that. The state got a lot of money to have a consultant come by and pick up key generators. And let's see what's happening.
Because they opened the bags up and dumped them on and then figure out what was in it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, because I was looking over their shoulder and I go, oh my God, what are those plastic things doing in there?
Yeah, yeah,
For food and stuff too.
Oh, that's the other thing is the food.
yes.
The black, what are we doing about that?
Food it's illegal to knowingly and wantonly throw your food waste
Right.
in the trash. It is banned from the landfill.
Oh, I don't get that problem. I have a compost.
Yeah, that's great. And we've been working to helping people with that
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Actually, composting is not that hard.
It's, once you get going, it's just going from this point where you don't to here's the steps, and as you can tell stories, whatever type of device you have. We get some high electronic ones you can put it on your kitchen counter, and it comes out with this nice.
I'm waiting for that one to come down in price and
Yeah.
I'll buy one.
Yeah, someone was asking me from one of our towns, hey, is there any chance of getting a grant to do that? And I think that's still pretty
Yeah,
high.
that's, let them get the technology straightened out first before we get into
Yeah.
mass production.
Yeah,
But,
So-
because composting, it's the best thing for roses, man. Roses grow like
Sure
leaps
is.
and bounds with that
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, rich black soil.
Yeah,
It's nice.
yeah.
So if a lot of people, kind of got turned onto that, it would help save them money, so they don't have to throw it in a bag and take up the volume of the bag. They can use it for other things, like trash. That's supposed to go into the landfill.
I think, another decade goes by, this stuff will be built in the kitchens.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
Like the Jetsons.
Yeah, it's all built in
Yeah.
the kitchen.
That'd be nice. I think that would be a good time.
I mean, those units, you can put the bones in there,
Yes.
and it
Yes.
puts them into a powder.
Yep, yep, and that adds to, it's all good. I could talk to, I don't know, I have my manager's report there, it's pretty similar to some things. There's one thing that I wanted to talk, and I know we don't have a forum, but at your next meeting next week perhaps, I heard very loudly from the board that they like the fact that we can get grants. And there's a grant out there for stormwater in relation to a stormwater project that's going to be happening soon. And it allows up to $1 less than $50,000 to get reimbursed for engineering and for the permit process that we did. And it's not a complicated thing because they have all the paperwork, but we have to show that we want it. And just to make sure everything's right, I'd like to officially get a vote next week to say, hey, Mark, you're authorized to do this, go get it. So if they come back and say, they just want, this is the authorization above and beyond the application of the notice of intent that we filed in December. Mr. Chair, is there any other thing you'd like to hear? Or can we wait, what can wait till next?
Because I believe I just don't want to keep people here a long while because we
I
keep
know.
too much. And next week we'll be going over some of the same stuff over again.
Yep,
So there's really, I think we covered quite a bit with Teresa and what you came up with.
yep.
As far as I can see, there's nothing else unless someone has a question. But if not, I would say, we call it a night. I appreciate everybody showing up.
Just-
Sorry we didn't have a quorum.
So
A lot
tell,
of things that has happened.
Mr. Chairman, just make sure that people know on PEG TV, this was not an official meeting, was just information only until we have a quorum. So I'm just saying that for the
Yep, we
camera.
said that up front too. Thank you, Bill, for
Okay.
bringing that back
Well,
up.
I'm so used to doing that at the board levels, explaining to people at home, because they don't know what we're doing, because we're talking in riddles. So you have to stop a few minutes and tell people what we're doing, so they understand what we're doing, so.
I appreciate that.
Yep,
Everyone have a good evening, and
Yep.
we'll see you,
Have a good night.
see you next week.